Hi there, very good morning to all our viewers. You've tuned in live to this broadcast on Moneycontrol. You're watching Newspresso with me, Stacey Pereira. And as the drill goes, in the next few minutes, we're going to be giving you a lowdown of all the top stories from across the globe, all the insights from into India, all the earning updates that have been trickling in, and also the latest trends that are doing a buzz. Now, this will keep you informed and get you that head start to the day. So let's get straight to it and bring you all that we're getting from our global dispatch. Now, the Dow Jones continues to rally, extending for the 11th session. It is the longest winning streak in 6 years. The 30-stock Dow has gained about 183 points, or nearly half a percentage point in yesterday's trading day. The S&P 500 rose about 0.40%, whereas Nasdaq Composite added about 0.19%. Now, energy stocks were the ones leading the gains on the S&P 500, with the sector up about 1.7%. While oil and gas, those futures stocks were the ones trading at a 3-month high. We'll be telling you more on that. But investors are also keeping a close eye out on the Federal Reserve, which will start its FOMC meeting today. And the commentary is widely anticipated to be raising those rates by another quarter percentage point in this 2-day meet, which will conclude tomorrow evening. Now, Chairman Jerome Powell's speech will give a sense of the central bank position on what happens next as it tries to navigate a soft landing for the economy. Among the big tech earnings, though, do you need to be watching out for? We'll have Apple, Microsoft, as well as Meta, which will be reporting its numbers this week. And European markets, those ones close a slightly higher to on Monday as investors digested that inconclusive result of the Spain election and also look ahead at the busy week of corporate earnings and, more importantly, the central bank meeting there. The Pan-European Stock 600 provisionally added about 0.1% to end in the positive. We saw UK's FTSE 100 as well as DAX slightly higher, whereas France's CAC 40, that one dipped in trade. On the macro front, we do have fresh data which is pointing out to a slowdown in business activity in France, Germany, as well as the UK in the month of July, adding to those recessionary risks and fears in Europe. All eyes, though, now will be on that ECB meeting, which will convene on Thursday to perhaps announce that 25 basis point rate hike and offer guidance for the final stages of their efforts to fight inflation. Indices in the Asia-Pacific region, those ones have opened slightly higher, one could say, post the Chinese authorities' stimulus package, which is aimed at ailing the property markets. The Chinese government has decided to put pledges to boost consumption as well as tackle debt risk. Now, if you look at how the stocks are performing, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index is looking for that strong rebound after it lost almost 2% in trade on Monday. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 too is extending its gains. Australian indices, those ones have opened tad bit lower, whereas GIFT Nifty, that one is signaling a muted start for the Indian markets. And on the commodities front, well, it seems like oil is on the boil, where oil prices have climbed about 2% to a near 3-month high as the tightening supply as well as a rising U.S. gasoline demand and hopes of the Chinese stimulus measures have aided sentiment. Now, Brent crude futures rose to $1.67 or nearly 2% to settle in at $82.74 per barrel. Now, in China, the world's second largest economy and also the second biggest oil consumer, leaders have gone ahead and pledged to step up the policy support for the economy amidst this torturous post-COVID recovery that it's witnessing, also focusing on boosting domestic demand and signaling more stimulus steps in. Well, the China's Politburo has pledged to adjust and optimize policies in a timely manner for its ailing property sector. This does come after the disappointing economic data last week prompted renewed calls of policy support to bolster growth. Now, after years of development, OpenAI chief Sam Altman has finally gone ahead and launched WorldCoin. Now, what is WorldCoin? It is Altman's cryptocurrency and a digital ID proof, which he plans on putting out. Now, what will it also do? It will look at how WorldCoin has ramped up its eyeballs, scanning operations through 35 cities across 20 countries. That's where it's aiming to be placed at in the times to come. So even though the cryptocurrency world may be seeing quite a bit of fluctuations, this might be somewhat of that relief where you're seeing such a big name put its name and weight behind a cryptocurrency. So that's Sam Altman's take on WorldCoin and how he's getting into the crypto space. But also let's go across and see what's happening in the whole climate change and what it's really doing. Well, we've seen quite a few wildfires that continue to devastate across Europe. Now, there have been drone footages that have come out which show that the wildfires have been raging acres of ground across Europe, and this disaster has forced evacuation of tens of thousands of tourists as well as locals. And you can see the skies have been glowing orange due to the fire that has blazed through the night. Now, the fire has troubled tourists who travel to Rhodes, which is a very popular travel destination, especially among the Britishers, and the Digros International Airport has been crammed up with tourists who were stuck due to these wildfires. Now, several tourists who had to walk miles in the scorching heat to reach for safety. Now, temperatures have in fact soared as much as 104 Fahrenheit in many of the parts of Greece. Although wildfires are common in Greece, Greece's climate change has led to extreme heat conditions across Europe. A quick look at all the market action that transpired in the trading day yesterday. And well, we did see Indian stock markets ending on a weak note on that subdued global cues as well, and the earning jitters that have been overpowered by the support. Now, Sensex and Nifty both ended in the red despite those multiple attempts to break into the green in what was kind of a choppy session. Now, Sensex did shed around 300 odd points by the end of the trade, whereas Nifty gave up on the holds of over 19,700 and slipped below. Now, the broader markets also ended in a lower way. The FMCG index also was one of the worst performers for the day. The session definitely saw BSE companies erase close to 18,000 crore rupees in its market capitalization. And speaking of markets, well, the market regulator SEBI is working on a slew of reforms for the Indian capital markets, and starting with that instantaneous settlements is what they want to get onto first. Now, this comes just 5 months after it announced a shift to that T+1 settlements form. Now, SEBI chairperson Madhvi Puri says that the regulator is in talks with all stakeholders to implement this new system, which could be powered by India's UPI infrastructure. However, she did add that this needs more work to be done and was not sure if this would be completed by FY24. She did point out that the Indian investors are already seeing and saving over 3,500 crore rupees per annum due to the various reforms, including ASBA as well as the shortened listing timelines that have been put forth by the regulator. Some of the other reforms on the anvil could include the mechanism to track unpublished price-sensitive information, ways to improve bond market liquidity, and also the new delisting regulations. A consultation paper on the same should be out by the end of this year. She did add that about 33,000 crore rupees of backstop emergency facility for debt mutual funds to tide over a liquidity crisis will soon be inaugurated by the finance minister. That will happen on the 28th of July. Let's listen into what she had to say.
Certainly, one of the things that we think is not very far off is even instantaneous settlement on the stock exchange. We are currently working on that. We are engaged with the ecosystem, and we believe that in the not very far future, we will have a mechanism which will facilitate instantaneous settlement of transactions on the stock exchanges.
So instantaneous settlements is something that we need to be looking forward for from the market regulator. But let's take you quickly through all the corporate earnings that have happened over yesterday evening, as well as what is yet to come. We did have first up Tata Steel, which reported its Q1 numbers last evening, and the consolidated net profits have plummeted 93% on a year-on-year basis, coming in at 525 crore rupees. This mostly weighed down by its European operations, and a factor that was anticipated by most analysts. Now, profits in the quarter were also dented by that non-cash deferred tax charge on account of buying transactions at the British Steel Pension Scheme, or BSPS. The revenues too have shrunk about 6.2%, coming in at 59,489.7 crore rupees. This versus the 63,430 crore rupees it recorded a year ago. The company has gone on to say that revenues decreased due to the lower volumes, partly offset by the higher realizations across geographies. We also have a crucial earnings from automakers today. Tata Motors as well well as 2- and 3-wheeler maker Bajaj Auto. Both will be posting their results. Let's go to Tata Motors first. That one is expected to see a consolidated revenue of 1.01 lakh crore rupees. This versus the 71,934 crore rupees on a YOY basis. The favorable product mix as well as softening raw material prices could really aid JLR's margins, which are expected to double to about 12.5% versus the 6.3% it recorded a year ago. And if you look at Bajaj Auto, we could see the PAT really raised by about 48% is what we're given to understand could happen. The EBITDA too could see a 60% jump coming in at 2,084 crore rupees. This is what we are anticipating and estimating for these automakers. If you look at the other hand, we also have engineering and infra major L&T, which will also be reporting its results. And there we are expecting a PAT to be up about 26%. Margins may also remain flat, but more importantly, we'll have to look out for the revenue guidance, which could be in that 12 to 15% range, and the fact that the board is set to consider a buyback proposal and announce a special dividend. That is something that investors will be keenly awaiting. So those L&T results coming in sometime in the evening. And also finally, there'll be Asian Paints, who will also be putting out its Q1 numbers, and the street is penciling a strong EBITDA as well as PAT growth. We are also likely to see gross margins expand by 400 odd basis points, while the domestic volume growth is seen around 10 to 12%. So all of those earnings updates, we'll be getting you all of that through the day, and you'll need to be coming back to Moneycontrol for getting a fix of all of those updates that are trickling in from the corporate side from the earnings. But speaking about more corporates, well, we did have the board of ITC, which has gone ahead and granted an in-principle nod to the spin-off of its hotels business. Now, the company will hold about 40% stake in a wholly owned subsidiary called ITC Hotels. Explaining the rationale behind the demerger, well, ITC claimed that the move will make it easier for the new entity to find suitable investors as well as strategic partnership and collaborations whose investment strategies and risk profiles are more closely aligned with that of the hospitality industry. Now, the demerger will also unlock value for ITC shareholders. Meanwhile, on the day of announcing this plan, ITC managed to dethrone HUL to become the #1 consumer stock. Now, the stock, however, saw some profit booking after this announcement. And to the top story that is making national headlines, well, it is the continued ruckus in Parliament that has been prolonging. Now, there's no end to that logjam. Opposition parties have stuck to their demand for Prime Minister Modi to make a statement on the whole Manipur issue in the floor of the House. The government said that it is ready to go ahead and discuss, but is unwilling to concede to the opposition's demand for a statement from the Prime Minister. The standoff resulted in the third day of the Parliament being a complete washout with no business being conducted. Meanwhile, Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar suspended AAP leader Sanjay Singh, this for his unruly behavior is what we're saying. And this also comes at a time when we are seeing the centre and AAP being at loggerheads over the centre's ordinance granting control of bureaucrats in the Delhi to the Lieutenant Governor. And to all the latest trends, well, we have to finally say bye-bye to that birdie. Well, that's probably what Musk said before he said goodbye to Twitter, the little bird logo of theirs. And the social media app Twitter is now become X.com. The network's website showed the company's new logo, but its URL is still shown as Twitter.com, and the blue tweet button was still visible. Now, some users saw the blue version of the X logo, suggesting the rollout was not yet finalized, though the social media network site is now shows the company's new logo as a white X on a black background. Now, Musk chose the brand logo that was developed by an art follower, and which is why from now on you're going to see X as the new Twitter. And from the startup world, well, crisis hit Byju has managed to go on and vacate its office premise in Bengaluru, and this is to about save 3 crore rupees on monthly rent. Now, reports say that the edtech company has also tentatively agreed to the lenders to rework its payment plan of loans about $1.2 billion. But amidst all of this, we also saw that there is quite a bit of ruckus that has been created. Now this because you had the company which has gotten into news for lots of its toxic work culture on social media. Well, in a viral video, a female employee from Byju was seen engaging in a heated argument with her seniors over incentives. Now here's what actually transpired at the office. Take a look.
सर एक मिनट
प्लीज
नहीं सर नो
आपको बात करनी है आप केबिन में
नहीं
बात
सर हम
करिए
सबके सामने बात करेंगे जब सबके सामने निकाल रहे हैं तो बात क्यों अकेले ना करें
आपका प्रॉब्लम जो है
नहीं
वो
सर
तभी
मेरा प्रॉब्लम नहीं है
तो कहीं नहीं सोम सर
नहीं,
इतने खाली नहीं है उसका
और हम भी इतने खाली नहीं कि हम सोम सर से बात कर रहे हैं सोम सर वीपी है बाइजूस के मेरे नहीं या फिर प्रेसिडेंट नहीं इस इंडिया के ही इज नॉट अ प्रेसिडेंट ही इज नॉट अ वाइस प्रेसिडेंट सर वी केम फ्रॉम जेई कैंप फ्रॉम के टू सेगमेंट राइट हमें यहाँ पे वर्ड मिला कि हम यहाँ पे काम करेंगे तो हमें मीन्स हमें सर्वाइव करने का
Well, seems like the trouble is never ending for Byju's, but hopefully they'll come out with some kind of resolution, be it for the lenders or also their employees who seem quite troubled at this point. But let's move on then, and let's ask you, have you ever doubted whether your tea is vegetarian? Well, it comes to the absurdity. Well, a passenger objected to a Halal certification on a tea packet that was served on board a train. Now, in a viral video that is going viral, a railway official is seen trying to pacify a passenger by repeatedly telling him that the tea is vegetarian. Now, footage of the exchange has sparked a raging debate on Twitter around food certification and its religious connotations. But before I let you watch that heated debate, do note that the term halal is actually an Arabic word that translates to permissible in English. Listen into that, what transpired on that train.
सावन का महीना चल रहा है, हलाल चाय पिला रहे हैं।
क्या हलाल से क्या होता है?
हलाल क्या होता है वो तो आप समझिए। हलाल सर्टिफाइड ये क्या लिखा हुआ है? हलाल सर्टिफाइड ये क्या चीज है?
क्या
हलाल सर्टिफाइड क्या चीज है ये?
इसमें मसाला टी प्रीमिक्स है।
नहीं, हलाल सर्टिफाइड क्या होता है? हमको जानना चाहिए ना। हलाल आई समझते हैं और सारा चीज समझते हैं। हलाल क्या होता है ये हमको समझाइए।
समझा देंगे आपको। वेजिटेरियन 100% दिया गया है। देखिए सर,
ठीक है, हमारा सावन चल रहा है, हम अभी पूजा करेंगे जाके। ये हलाल सर्टिफाइड क्या होता है?
आप वीडियो बना रहे हैं सर।
यस।
Well, let's also tell you all that you need to be looking out for through the day. We do have a slew of earnings like we mentioned before. L&T is there, Tata Motors, Bajaj Auto, all of those big results coming later today. So keep an eye out for that. Well, we also have on the global front, IMF, which will be updating its World Economic Outlook, which covers the key world economic projections for the global economies and growth of what they see. That will be published for the full spring and autumn WEO reports, which is expected sometime at 6:30 p.m. IST. So you can be looking out for that. And more importantly, from our moon mission, well, ISRO is going to perform that most awaited 5th Earth orbit maneuver today in the Chandrayaan 3, and that could happen anytime between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. So that's a crucial one because this is the 5th one, after which it takes off. So all of those for you to be looking out through the day. But with that, it's a wrap, and hope this dose of Newspresso was useful and keeps you informed and gives you that kickstart to your day. But don't forget to come back here tomorrow, same place, same time, for your fresh shot of Newspresso. From all of us putting this show together, thanks so much for tuning in.